no gavel, but my fist will have to do. So I'd like to call the meeting, July 5th meeting of the Sykesville Planning Commission to order. Public comments welcome. Please do it from the dais and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Our first order is the approval of the minutes from the 4th of April meeting. I think they were all here, all of us who are present tonight. I assume everybody's had a chance to review those minutes. Does anybody have any comments or changes that they'd like to make to that? In which case, do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Ken, and a second there?
Second.
Okay, second motion from Ted, second from Ken. Good. So moving on, county updates. Do we have any county updates? Not tonight? Okay, just what we have in the
Correct.
all right, so we've got here Planning Commission rules and regulations, and Kevin, I'm assuming that you're going to be the point person for that.
Yes, it's just a quick overview, so obviously presented here for the consideration and approval are the Town of Sykesville Planning Commission rules of procedure, so everyone should have a copy. The purpose of these rules of procedure is to serve as a guide to assist the Sykesville Planning Commission in the orderly and efficient conduct of all matters that the Commission considers by law or by custom so as to effectively exercise its powers and duties set forth in the applicable sections of the Maryland Annotated Code Land Use Article, as may be amended from time to time in the Charter and Code of the Town of Sykesville. So obviously the overall goal here is just to continue to have an established and consistent process for the Planning Commission in order to ensure fair and impartial treatment of each applicant. So, if there's any questions about the content?
There's not so much about content yet. Is there a dynamic behind the appearance of this, since we've gone for 20 years without it? Is there an explanation behind where it's coming from, or do we not need to go there?
Well, no, I mean, again, we can just simply say that we are required to have this type of document in place, and there likely has been a form of this floating around somewhere at the townhouse. We did want to make sure that we had an updated version and ready just in case somebody did ask for it at some point. So.
I think that's a very prudent move at this point.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, I just have one comment on it. Looking through it, it's all great. No issues with it at all. It doesn't actually mention the comprehensive plan in terms of the things that we consider as a sort of an overarching principle of what we're doing. And so somewhere in that section 6 where it talks about meeting procedures, and it would be good, I think, to mention the fact that the comprehensive plan is a document which we use as a reference guide or some kind of an overarching vision. Good. Just add that in there.
Sure.
I had one other thing, and this actually comes from a conversation I had with my wife's uncle, who is on a planning commission in a different town, not in this state, mind you, but in a state close by, and they have some words in their document that create some litigious issues because of the way that they're explained. And when I was looking at the policy on subsection 2, I just wonder if there's definitions for the word fairness and or public confidence that Maryland has that are clearly codified anywhere. I understand the intent, but I'm wondering if we thought about this from a legal perspective, because one's terminology of fairness could be different depending on where you sat on what side of the table and whatever negotiation. I know this sounds really minute in particular, but they are running into it in their town from, and so I think it actually sits on the ethics board and the planning commission, and it's one of these things that's a little strange, but it is something that is of interest, and I just wonder if there's any lessons learned. And I don't know if we need to approve this or not approve the document as it's written, but it's just something to think about as we navigate forward, just to make sure that we're covered if the state of Maryland already has these clearly defined.
And as far as I know, there is no specific definition of fairness or public confidence. I can tell you that the legal counsel did review our document to make sure everything was, consistent with, other examples of this, and they didn't bring up any issue with that particular section. But even if we do adopt it tonight, I believe the provision in here does say that at any other time, the commission can make amendments or revise it as they see fit. So, again, we're happy to bring that question up to legal counsel again, so they can specifically hone in on that, and we can report back. But I don't think that necessarily has to prevent us from adopting
Yeah,
this.
I don't either. I just want to make sure that we're all covered and we all understand what that means. And we do have some pretty important matters coming forward, and maybe some parties will think fairness is different depending on where this all goes. Yeah.
Gotcha. I don't know how else you can really define it. I mean, if the town attorney is happy with the wording of it, I don't know what else you can really I'm not sure that any definition change would satisfy everybody if they really feel it's in their interest not to be agreed. So that being said, is there anything in here that anybody wants to comment on further or has any issue with? No. Then I think at this point I will ask for a motion to move ahead and approve this with the proviso, I think, of the inclusion of reference to the comprehensive plan in section 6. Yeah? Do I have a motion? Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, and a seconder? Mike? All in favour?
Aye.
Okay, thanks Kevin. Good to go with that, yeah? I should point out we don't actually have a vice chair.
Not
At
yet.
this point. I don't know if we want to leave that until the first meeting of the year, since it specifies that in there, or do we want to deal with it beforehand?
Yeah, I mean,
in
we
the past
can.
it's been whoever's been most experienced or who's been willing to chair the meeting.
I think that's typically how it's been,
Yeah.
but I'll look at the 3 members sitting over here and just let you know that one of you will be likely designated as the vice chair at some point in the near future. You do not have to
I know
do it
we were
tonight,
waiting
just
for
it's
other
tonight.
people, but
One other guy.
well, that's one more.
Yeah, actually, I guess technically, if you want to designate the one that's not here, that's,
Potentially-
that is typically how that works.
I
works.
think we could do that to Brandon.
No problem.
So moving on from item 2, now we're on item 3, which is the town updates and correspondence relating to 7520 Main Street, the historic carriage house.
Yeah, so I'll jump on that again too. So the historic Carriage House 2 property, the town recently received some updated building permits as well as a red line plan showing the consolidation of the initially approved 3 lots into 1 lot and a change of use for the space from 3 townhome style dwellings into a mixed use building with about 1,500 square feet of retail space on the ground level and 3 apartments above. And the new plan shows the ability to provide 3 parking spaces, and the owner agreed to pay an impact fee in lieu of the additional 3 spaces that they are required to provide. I also want to point out that in the minutes of the March 2nd, 2015 Planning Commission meeting, where the site plan was initially approved, it was suggested that the owner could choose at a later date to build a mixed-use building along Main Street, at which time the owner would submit a simple site plan revision for review by the town manager to allow for a quicker review process, and that the commissioners, when asked, were in agreement to the suggestion. So we used that abbreviated process then. So upon receiving payment for all the permanent impact fees, the building permits have been approved for that space to allow for the project to continue to move forward now with the mixed-use space instead of the 3 townhome style dwellings.
So there's no further action required.
No further action, just an update to let you guys know that we've approved the building permits for that. And they're moving forward with the mixed-use space there.
Thanks.
Yeah, refresh our memories. But they were short a certain number of parking spaces. Was it just the 3, or?
Yeah, so initially they
I remember
were-
that was a concern.
Yeah, so in their initial plan, they provided a parking calculation for office space, which is 50% of floor
Right,
area.
right.
They've since changed that to just retail, and then
Right.
and retail is they don't require parking under 2,000 square feet. They're
Gotcha.
only doing about 1,500 square feet of retail, and then it's 2 spots per apartment. So they're providing 3 and paying the impact fee for
Gotcha.
the other 3.
Okay,
Answers that one.
good. Well, looks good.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, so should be a nice little addition to Main Street there.
I think so, yeah. Good. All right, finally, number 4, town projects. Joe?
So again, just wanted to give everybody an update on kind of some of the things that council has recently approved. So as some of you remember, when we went through the comprehensive plan adoption, there were several projects within the comprehensive plan and including in the implementation matrix that had come before the Planning Commission, and we specifically pointed out. We did want to let everybody know that we've recently entered into a contract with our town engineer for specific projects. So we're actually moving forward with engineering. One of which is this Baldwin Drive, Oklahoma Avenue area to redo the parking lot there by Sykesville Station, reconfigure Baldwin Drive a little bit so that it does, I guess, differentiate itself from the parking lot so that it looks like an actual street, and then do some pedestrian improvements there to Oklahoma Avenue. As most of you know, the sidewalks there are rather narrow, and it doesn't work very well as really a walkable area. So we have, like I said, entered into a contract with our engineers to start that process. As we get further down the road and have a site plan ready, we will bring that back before the Planning Commission so that you all can actually see the specific details and approve those improvements as we get there. The next is the Sandusky lot. So this has been a long goal to expand the footprint of downtown one way or another, or expand potential retail areas of the downtown. So as you see in this concept drawing, the existing Sandusky building has been removed and a new structure would be built there along, we've been calling it Townhouse Drive, that leads up to the police department. Some improvements to the front lawn area at the townhouse here, this building, and then actually expanding kind of the front lawn area a little bit. The goal here is to not only reconfigure the building at the Sandusky lot, but also stay parking neutral. So any spaces that we're losing from this new building being built, you're actually gaining the same amount from where we took away the existing Sandusky building. And hopefully you're not really losing any in the, I guess the Beck's parking lot is what we would call it, though that is town owned. So again, we're actually working on the scope of work for this one, but it is something that we'll be pursuing as well in short order. A couple of other little projects that the town is working on. Again, we've entered into engineering contracts to do some stormwater improvements along Norwood Avenue. There's been some issues really on Church Street with some, let's just call it clogging up of drains, some of the stormwater drains there. So we hope that this improvement along Norwood will resolve that issue. And then Central Avenue. So as most of you are probably aware, the state is getting ready to do some stormwater work along Springfield Avenue. We are going to design something along Central that can tie into that to hopefully divert some of the stormwater that's causing some of the issues there for all the people along Springfield. And then as far as other, the last project that has any kind of significance here is we are looking at the Patapsco Bridge across Main Street to look at what kind of pedestrian improvements can theoretically be done to that bridge to improve that connection from Main Street in the Sykesville Station area and South Branch Park. So those are all things that Town Council has approved as part of their recent budget, and since we've crossed into the new fiscal year, we can now start spending some of that money.
Good.
One thing I would add to what Joe said is that, so part of where the money is coming from is from the investment funds that have come in. And then part of the way that we're able to move forward is because there's many people that have kind of stacked up over the last maybe 15 to 20 years that have reduced the town's debt down to zero. And it's a lot of people making a lot of tough decisions for a long time. And that's giving us the ability to move forward and actually do some pretty exciting things to make the town even better than it already is. So it's really, really cool.
Cool. Excellent. Very good. Is that it, Joe?
That's it as far as projects. Obviously, you have any questions about anything else going on in town? Happy to answer any of those.
I think a number of us after the last meeting was the last reference in this body.
Right.
The Warfield. I know the town council. I watched the meeting where they denied the application.
They
and
did.
At the end of that, there was talk of negotiation and who
Right.
might be involved in that and how and what might come down the pipe.
Yeah, so again, just for interest of the public and the Planning Commission, the Town Council did deny the zoning text amendment that was proposed by the Warfield Development Team. To date, we've gotten no amended version of that or anything else that's about to be referred to Planning Commission. The last conversation that we've had with Warfield was that not only are they working on a potential zoning change, but a changes to their escrow agreements and some of the other documents that the town has from the sale of the property. So things that wouldn't necessarily come before the Planning Commission, but as we work through some of those pieces, there's nothing pending. So just stay tuned.
Talking about a zoning change, we're talking about a change of use.
Well, one way or the other, whether it's just a text amendment or just a zone change in itself hasn't been determined. In all likelihood, the PEC district will be amended one way or another.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you for that.
Yep.
Had you
Any
told
further-
about the withdrawal of the open meetings?
Oh, and yeah, that was I guess the other pending item there for Warfield was the open meetings complaint that was filed that had been withdrawn. There was reference in the withdrawal letter that the Warfield folks sent to the compliance board that they would be submitting a revised complaint, but to date that has not been submitted. So right now we're in the clear, I guess. with everything.
Okay, that's interesting. We best not go too far with that. All right, well, good. Anything else? Any further questions anybody has? No. In which case, I move that we adjourn. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, and I declare this meeting done.
Very good.
Excellent. 15 minutes. Can't argue with that, can you?
Like it.
There will be longer ones down the line.